Today we're talking about the latest patch in Arc Raiders, the exploits that were fixed in the patch, as well as the patch coming next week that should be a nice shakeup for the game. So this morning we got a super light patch that was focused primarily on the exploits in the game. This is probably the biggest thing that they have to focus on, other than just bringing new stuff and keeping people interested. That's going to be the biggest thing, but there have been a lot of exploits, wall glitches, getting out of bounds, and being able to shoot through walls that's been causing a lot of issues and frustrations in the community, and today they did address some of them. First things first is the new Gearshifter set. This one, for some reason, reminds me of like the festival uniforms from My Hero Academia or something. This is the blue, red, and white. My brain is weird. This one's pretty straightforward, kind of minimalist, but I'm sure there are some people out there that would like this kind of vibe. You got the blue and the yellow, and then you can switch to the black and yellow, and then you got the white and red, which, you know, it's got a cool, like, I don't know, race car, tracksuit kind of vibe to it going on. Let me know if you're someone that would use this kind of thing. You got helmet, no visor, different colors there, and you could do vest on or off, which should have different colors there, yeah, so there you go. A little bit vest on top of it. But that skin is is their new skin added to the game, so if you're looking to have this kind of look to it, something very simple, something very straightforward, then that's available to you. It's also got this brand new, whatever, it's just oil splatter. So if you want oil on your face, you can do that. And if you buy the bundle, you can obviously do the spitting on your hands and clapping. This actually would be perfect emote for right before you knock someone out. Plus, look at the face. Look. He makes like a So the first one is the zipline that was out of bounds in Stella Montis, that if you got to the right angle on a wall, you could jump to the zipline. The game would jump you onto the zipline and then move you out of bounds, and you could walk around on top of the like levels and sub-levels and shoot through the walls to attack players. And a lot of people were kind of wondering what their fix was going to be, and it turns out the most obvious one, which was just a content change realistically, was they just removed that zipline. And I mean, I think even if you don't know anything about game development in general, it probably was a pretty straightforward solution of just, okay, if the way they get out of the wall is by using the zip line, then just remove the zip line. So that one being gone, it means that people shouldn't be able to get out of bounds in Stella Montis in that exact spot, which is good because it was by far the easiest way to do it, which means that even if you knew it was there, now that it's fixed, it means that you're good to go and you have less people getting in. Now, because, you know, it's not the only map affected, every map in the game has people getting out of bounds, but Blue Gate and Stella Montis are the most egregious, and so they have been kind of targeting those for their changes. Which brings us to the second one, fixed collision that allowed players to vault and fall through a wall in Blue Gate. This one is notorious. If you play a lot of bunker runs in Blue Gate, you'll recognize this. Anytime I see that small, it's like a little rectangular tower that you climb up on, anytime you go near that, you have to wonder if there's people in the walls or not. Like literally, it's you're starting to freak out, lose your mind, because I swear to God, there's people crawling around in there. They don't specify which one, but I'm willing to bet money that it's this one right here. I've read about it a few times now since the patch, and I haven't had anyone in there. It doesn't mean that they can't get in there, but it just means that's a lot harder. So as you can see with this one is this specific wall. On the sides of the doorway, if you mantle on top of the doorway, it treats it like a ledge, and so you can actually get up on top of it, get over the doorway, and then you land down. You see where that gun coming out of the wall is? People get inside, they can get to either side of it, they can climb up on top of it and shoot arc, which can't target them, and there's just people in the walls. For this is probably the most notorious one, and again, personally, up until today, I've been avoiding this spawn pretty heavily, but if you do bunker runs, it's kind of hard to. It doesn't mean that's the only place you could do it. You could do it on pretty much every single map. I'm Buried City, Dam, Spaceport. There are plenty of places where they just didn't check the collision. You can sometimes just get through places, climb up on top of stuff, and then get down below. And again, once you're inside of the collision, like the actual environment art, the environment assets, a lot of times you're able to shoot through it out, but they can't shoot back. It's just a marker that they set on the asset itself that allows certain projectiles or hit scans or things like that to be able to fire through materials, but they don't do it on both sides because they don't expect you to be inside of the structure or building. And so they haven't addressed for this on Blue Gate and Stella Montis, but, you know, keep your head on a swivel and be more prepared, as there's going to be more of these places throughout many of the other maps. Now, it's not just the players that can get into the walls, and it's not just every map that they can get into. Sometimes art can get into walls. There's also places where, like, certain railings and things like that, again, probably aren't marked or checked. They just need to do, like, a full asset check inside of the engine to see if they're flagged properly, if they're set up properly. But again, just keep in mind that, like, players can still get into a lot of places. There's damn battlegrounds. Just be very wary of certain areas where players can get through the wall. They can shoot through the wall, or they can get into the wall and shoot out of it. They also addressed an issue with, again, they say it's materials here, but again, usually in these kind of setups, what they'll do is they can go to the actual environment asset, click on it, and then you can set up what can shoot through it and how it can interact with things. And this happens all the time, especially when you're doing a ton of light bakes, trying to set up the environment, and you got to do multiple builds and ship and deploy them for playtesting, whatever. Sometimes things get missed, and so you have this situation here where obviously the Bastion on Stella Montis could shoot through walls, could shoot through stairs. There's even a couple railings and stuff that players could shoot through, like it blocks movement, but if you shoot through it, it allows the fire to go through. And firing through is one thing, but again, there's also been moments, a lot of this is Stella Montis, and I think if the maps are meant to stay a long time, eventually they'll start working all these issues out and getting it sorted. And hopefully they'll also be able to learn a lot about how the Ark and the players interact with the maps they have and make sure they don't get some places. But you can find situations where Ark not only can shoot through walls, but also can travel through walls. So you can get them to come out of some very odd situations and places. So for this one specifically, they fixed material issues that cause multiple objects to not block bullet fire or Ark vision. And this is most noticeable on Stella Montis, but it does have places where this happens on pretty much every single map across the board. So it is good that they kind of recognize it. And it's also good that it might have just been a simple change, like checking the assets or checking some configuration that allows them to set that properly so fire can't go through it and Ark can't see through the walls as well, which would be really, really good. And they also mentioned specifically a gap in the collision on Spaceport Launch Tower that allowed players to be shot through the wall. So again, more targeted here. This is not a complete list. There are definitely other exploits and things like this that exist here, but these are definitely, like, I would say these two are the most problematic in the game right now. Comment below if you've been shot through like the walls in Stella Montis by people that use the zipline trick, or if you know that specific building I'm talking about near the bunker where you where people just live inside the walls and shoot at you on Bluegate. I would say these two changes here already make a pretty massive difference, but there's other things that need to be looked at, and it sounds like that is not going to be the end. While this is the patch that we got this morning, they also were clear to say that they want to give a quick update on their patch cadence, because they've been doing Thursday patches every week, plus or minus hot fixes and things like that. However, they're moving officially into the holiday season. So the next 3 weeks or so for Embark are going to be relatively slow, except for the big update that they have coming out next week. So they are moving this to a different day, and their goal is to continue to investigate and fix critical issues as soon as we can, but it will not be on a weekly cadence. So once we get the patch on Tuesday for the new cold snap event and things like that, it's going to slow down a little bit for the following few weeks as they move into some bigger things in January. So they mentioned that the release window will now shift to Tuesdays, and as the holiday approaches, the team will be taking much needed breaks so they can come back in January ready to bring more content. But the most important part from this, for the people that are looking for the actual news, is that in the meantime, they're gearing up for the cold snap update coming Tuesday. However, it will bring many different fixes we've been working on that didn't come out with today's patch. So there are other fixes coming, other, exploit removals and things like that coming, as well as all the new goodies, like the new, fire event, the new cold snap, all the new materials and things like that coming out, as well as the expedition start coming out next week. Will be coming out normally, but they did mention that they have some fixes that aren't in this patch today that are coming out then. Now, aside from that, I know I'm barking up the same tree again, but I do think they need to look at the trigger grenades, especially given the availability of some explosives, the fact that you can throw 2 trigger grenades and, knock out an entire fully healed team and knock them down to the ground, the fact that it does a lot more damage than some of the other explosive options, and also the timer on the trigger grenades feels like it's a little bit fast for how much damage it does. I think impact grenades and even the snap grenades feel like they're pretty well balanced. They've got a good fuse on them, and the amount of damage they do is kind of equivalent to how much there is. That's why usually people bring a lot of those impact grenades on people as well. But trigger grenades, the C4 mines, those tend to be a lot scarier, a lot stronger, do a lot more damage, and are incredibly freaky deaky to deal with. So I do think that hopefully in like a January update, or maybe even on the update on Tuesday, we'll end up getting an update to those. I would think you could either keep them the way they are, just lengthen their fuse time so they're not as aggressive in a push, or you could bring their damage down. I think it's perfectly fine for them to be like a, proximity mine that you use in order to knock people out or defend a flank, or you use them to push with or create space with. I just don't think they should be used to throw directly on top of someone, have it blow up without them being able to avoid it, and then do upwards of, 40 to 80% of their HP in a single explosion. I think that just becomes a little bit problematic, especially in squads, but let me know what you think, if you think the trigger grenades are a problem or not, down below in the comments. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.